My name is Jerry Gill, and today is December 8th, 2008. I'm visiting with Dean Sara Freedman on the OSU campus in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This interview is for the O State Storage Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. Dr. Freedman, you're currently serving as Dean of the School of the William S. Spears School of Business at Oklahoma State University. I know you hold 2 endowed chairs, but could we back up a little bit from that and perhaps get to know you a little more personal about for example, where did you grow up? Can you tell us a little bit about your family and other early experiences?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in North Carolina. My family was from an area outside of Charlotte, and most of my grandparents, aunts, and uncles were all in that same area. And when I went off to school, I wanted to leave North Carolina, so I went to undergraduate school in Boston University. I wanted to experience something a little different than a small southern town. I had a great time there. Ended up going back to North Carolina for graduate school and completed my PhD at the University of North Carolina. Had a wonderful experience with that. And then started my career as a faculty member at the University of Houston, where I moved into administration, served as dean, then changed in locations and went to Mississippi State University as dean, and then came here 2.5 years ago as dean. It's been a real exciting experience being here. A lot of great things going on, and terrific people to work with in the Spears School of Business and the university.
What are there some values and principles that you learned at an early age in your family? Some values that you've taken with you where you've gone?
Well, my dad had a small town hardware store, and I think from him I learned the value of hard work and being willing to go the extra mile if you need to, the importance of service and making sure that you provide good service and product to your customers, concern for people. It was a small town, and sometimes you carried people during tough times rather than sort of holding them hard and fast to things. So you work with people to accomplish things. It's a small town. My grandmother always said if you didn't want to see it in the front page of the paper, you didn't do it. And so I think those are the kinds of things that have helped me a lot of times to look at things and decide what course of action when you've got a difficult decision.
Well, Dr. Freedman, can you share a little bit? You're talking about some of the schools that you went to, universities. How about some of your experiences there, academic, but also outside the classroom, leadership opportunities that help develop you as a person?
Well, let me think. One of the things I really enjoyed when I was at the University of North Carolina, I got a fellowship to the Center for Creative Leadership in the summer. And it was a new program they had started working with doctoral students from across the country. And it was just a terrific experience in so many different ways because you're pretty much free to investigate, study whatever you wanted, but you had an opportunity to interact with, I guess there were probably 25 PhD students from across the country, all in business, mostly in my field, management and organizational behavior. A lot of interesting conversations. They were coming from different programs with different emphases, and so it was a sort of a broadening experience. Sort of opened my eyes to all the different things that were going on in the field. Other kinds of experience as a faculty member, getting involved in some of the outreach activities and interacting with business leaders really was helpful in bringing those experiences back to my students, trying to get students involved in interacting with business leaders while they were in the program. Those kinds of things I think really made a difference. The textbook kinds of things that we cover in our classes are relatively straightforward, but it's those extra things that I think make a real difference to our students. And one of the real strengths at OSU is that we have an alumni base who are willing to come back and share their experiences.
Well, I assume that you had been as a student involved in several leadership activities. Was that your career path, was that direction? Could you share some of your leadership experiences as a student?
Oh, as a student, I was involved in the doctoral student organization and played an administrative role over the course of the years, and just a variety of different kinds of things. An undergraduate program, I was a psychology major as an undergraduate, so I was involved in the psychology student group and those kinds of things.
Well, there's got to be a story there. Could you share? You changed from psychology over to business and graduate work?
Yeah, I really enjoyed psychology, and I was most interested in normal people behavior. I really wasn't interested in counseling. And as I started looking at career opportunities, I found that I was most interested in things like management and organizational behavior, the topics that had to do with how you can improve the workplace by understanding motivation, leadership, other kinds of things. So you could design systems to support the kind of productivity and commitment and values that you would like to have in the workforce.
You told earlier, growing up, your dad managing a small hardware store. Did you work there? Did this influence some of your thinking?
Actually, he never really wanted my brother or I to work there. Now, he was more than happy to have us work for his colleagues in the business community, so I had a variety of summer jobs working one retail, sort of a small town Kmart, if you will, and manufacturing and other kinds of jobs. So a lot of different kinds of things over the course of high school and college.
So you know the town again that you grew up in?
It was a little town called Albemarle. It's about an hour's drive outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
And population?
Around 10,000 if you counted the visitors that were passing through.
And that was on Saturday also?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you were dean at a couple schools before you come to OSU.
Right.
Was that helpful in having had those experiences before you come in as a first-time dean at Oklahoma State?
Sure. I think having a dean's experience before, there are things that deans do that aren't typical faculty activities, in particular fundraising and spending a lot of time with alums. And so having a little bit of experience doing that before makes it easier to step into those things quickly at a new location.
How did you learn about the position at Oklahoma State University? Is there a story about how you got to OSU?
Actually, I had been on the accreditation review committee in 1998, so I knew a bit about the school. But more importantly, I had known Gary Trenopole from history when he was in Texas and I was in Texas. Our paths crossed. And Gary gave me a call and asked and said, our dean's position is open. You were on the accreditation committee when I was dean over there. Would you have any interest? And I'm happy where I am. Well, maybe you should look into it. You always keep your options open. And so I came and interviewed, and once I saw how great the place was and what good things were going, it was hard to resist.
Can you tell us about the interview process, and what did you learn about Oklahoma State University as part of your interview process?
During the interview process, I think the things that stood out most were that there were a lot of things that were going well in the business school. Strong faculty and academic programs, a lot of opportunities for continuing to grow and develop, supportive environment, alumni active and involved. There are a lot of positives about the school. It's not to say that everything was perfect. We need a new building and some other kinds of things as well, but it certainly was a positive sort of place.
Well, building on your comments, sort of the next question, what was your assessment early on about the college in terms of traditional strengths of Oklahoma State University, maybe some of its areas where it needed improvement?
Well, I think clearly one of the things that schools the size of Oklahoma State University typically don't have are the outreach programs that we do primarily through our Center for Executive and Professional Development, but the kind of speaker series, the Tulsa forums, and the Oklahoma City Management Executive Briefings. You don't usually see that at a school the size that we are. And those are just wonderful programs. The speakers that we bring in, the service it provides to the Oklahoma business community is just incredible. And so that was a real strength. On the faculty who also participate in those programs and provide executive development opportunities for folks who are looking for specific skills or just advancing their careers. So the whole outreach component of the mission of the business school I thought was in very, very good shape. We have solid programs, academic programs, good placement. We have certain areas, accounting and management information systems, where we don't have enough students to accommodate the demand for those students. And I think a lot of companies come back and recruit our students. They've got solid skills. They typically have a very good work ethic. There's a lot of integrity amongst the students. They're hardworking. There's not a sense of entitlement. So the relationship with employers that come to recruit our students is also very strong. We have a faculty that are committed. They're doing research and teaching. We have faculty who have strengths in one area, and we try to accommodate and make sure that we use those strengths to help us reach our goals and objectives. One concern, we have a lot of faculty approaching retirement. We want to make sure that we recruit outstanding people to replace them, because they've done a wonderful job and they've left large shoes to be filled. So we're in the process of recruiting quite a few replacements over the next 5 years or so.
Also, from your early assessment, some areas that you felt like needed improvement?
Well, I mentioned the building. Our building was built in the 60s, and it was very efficient, but it's not, it doesn't have a lot of the characteristics that many business schools have now that actually enhance what's going on in the academic program, whether it's team rooms for students who are working on projects, or open areas for interaction between classes, study areas for people to stay in the building. Right now we're just a collection of offices and classrooms, and there's not really much for students. It's hard to create a student success center with the layout of the building, and those are things that we would like to do. Other areas that we need to work on, we always talk about budget issues.
Starting into usually.
You can't leave those out. Of course, the business school is faced with fairly high salaries competitively. If you want to be in the job market for the best faculty, salaries are tough. So trying to keep up and deal with that issue is something that all deans
Maybe there'll be more available out there in the pool now.
Yeah. Well, we hope so. Okay. Other kinds of things. I mean, there are things you always are working on, and in business in particular, we're always updating our curriculum. So it's a constant challenge to make sure that in every area we're doing the kinds of things that we need to do to make sure our students are well prepared. Accounting is looking at international accounting standards and how they would change what we do in our curriculum. And management information systems, it seems like there's always new technologies that are affecting things, and so there's some challenges with just keeping up.
From a broad picture, looking at 30,000 feet level, what's your the V word, your vision that you have for the college where you would like to see it go 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
We spent quite a bit of time talking about that when I first got here. You get a new dean in, and so there's a discussion of where the college is and where it should be. And we revised our mission and worked on our strategic plan and talked about a lot of those issues. And there were really 4 things that we talked about always having sort of in front and center. One was entrepreneurship, and I can tell you some more about our initiatives in entrepreneurship later. 2 was excellence. We wanted to make sure that we didn't undertake anything that we didn't feel like we could do an excellent job, and that whether it was our academic programs or our research, that we wanted to do things to support high quality in everything that we do.
Find some areas of excellence.
Mm-hmm. And focus on that, make sure that we didn't leave something important out, that for instance, moving into entrepreneurship, that we didn't undermine the quality in our other academic programs by doing so. We were also interested in participating in economic development activities. We saw a relationship between that and the entrepreneurship program. But we also felt like if we used student groups and other kinds of things, we could perhaps help companies, and we're currently doing that with our MBA program. We have teams that work on projects for companies that hopefully those companies will be able to use to make them more competitive. I should tell you about the paddlefish project that we have done. And then the last thing was engagement, that we should continue to be engaged with the business community, whether it's through CEPD, through having business leaders come to speak to students in classes, or CEO Day, variety of activities that support those kinds of things.
Did you define any specific goals? You talking about goal areas? Are there some targets that you're looking at?
For each one of those, and throughout the strategic plan, we set targets and when we wanted certain things in place, and what kinds of things we included under those areas. In some areas, entrepreneurship, we're well ahead of where we thought we would be, thanks to the gift that we received from Amy and Malone Mitchell. In other areas, the building, we're a little behind on where we would hope to be at this point.
You talk about entrepreneurship. Do you want to expand on that just a little bit?
Sure. We decided, again, when I first got here, we spent the fall semester reviewing, and we decided that entrepreneurship was an area that we knew there was student interest. We thought there were opportunities that would help the state, and we felt like if we expanded our activities in that area, it would be beneficial for everybody. So we laid out those kinds of things, that we want to offer more courses, we want to consider a major, we want to consider a minor across the campus, we want to create a student organization. We have a whole list of things we want to do, and we started doing those kinds of things. Then last year in the fall, we started talking to Malone Mitchell. He expressed an interest in providing some support for entrepreneurship. And as you know, we received a significant gift back in June. And with that, we've been able to go out and hire more people, and are really moving very quickly on some of the goals and objectives. We've created a separate department of entrepreneurship in the college. A center, a RIATA Center for Entrepreneurship. The department is faculty, traditional research, and those kinds of things, developing a curriculum for a major, developing a minor all across campus. The RIATA Center is the opportunity for students to have hands-on experiences, work with entrepreneurs, whether it be entrepreneurs from the business community or faculty who have ideas for new products or services that could be turned into a viable company with a little bit of help from a student group writing business plans, looking into issues of getting started. And so doing both of those, we feel like we can make some significant strides into doing things. We feel like that we'll be the only school that'll have a truly comprehensive entrepreneurship program. We're putting an option into the MBA program for students. So there's a lot of exciting things going on there.
I noticed OSU Regents approved here just recently. Mm-hmm. A couple of your new hires, department head and another faculty member.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those are our first with the gift. We've hired Mike Morris, who will be the department head. Is Fortune Small Business had him in their top 20 entrepreneurship faculty. They is identified by students, entrepreneurs, and faculty, which is a kind of unique group to get everybody to say this is a good person. And he developed their program, which has been a top-rate program. And again, the Mitchell's gift has allowed us to hire somebody like him. Before we had the funding, we were kind of doing it ourselves and building it up gradually as we got more faculty involved. By bringing him in, he's going to get faculty involved from the college, but across the campus, to assist in creating, if you will, a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation, and trying to develop new opportunities and new ways of doing things on campus, for the business community, across the board.
And the heart and soul and the core of any new program is faculty, and I guess the chairs program, that chairs program really was very, very helpful in attracting the faculty that, as you were saying earlier, to provide leadership to the program. Right,
and we're, in addition to the two that were recently approved, we have advertisements out and are looking at possibly hiring as many as 3 more for the fall, and which will give us a nice core of people to get things started. Before we leave that, I do want to talk a little bit more about the minor. One of the the things that Mike did at Syracuse and that we had talked about was how important it was for non-business students who might have an interest in doing something in entrepreneurship to have an opportunity to get exposed to it. So if you're an engineer with an idea for a new product, whether you're a music major who wants to start a concert company and bring in concerts and those sorts of things, there are certain basic kinds of start your own business skills that those students could benefit from, and we wanted to try to figure out a way to get them those skills without having to have them come take a whole MBA. And that's what this idea of a minor is. We also want the other colleges to offer courses that we could use as part of that minor within. So it may be that the Department of Physics has a course in new technologies or something like that we could count toward this entrepreneurship minor, and that would support entrepreneurship as something that department and that college values, not just the business school, and to try to get those connections, break down barriers between colleges so it's easier for students to go back and forth. And maybe the student doesn't want to take all the minor, just getting the introductory entrepreneurship course, but to encourage people across campus to think about that, faculty and students.
Well, Dean Freedman, you're talking about faculty. In your plan moving forward, in your goals, are there goals for recruitment of certain types of students or certain skills? What goals do you have in the student recruitment and development area?
Well, certainly, and we've spent some time working on this in the last year or so, on recruiting outstanding students. We want students who can do well in our programs, who are going to do well when they go to work in their career paths. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about those kinds of skills. We want to bring students in who can really benefit from the opportunities they're given. We want to get the word out to high schools and community college transfer students about the opportunities here and what those opportunities can do to help them as they go into the workforce and move forward with all the exciting things that are available for kids nowadays.
Well, what has it been? Gosh, time flies. 4 or 5 years. You've been dean now.
2.5.
2.5. It seemed like longer than that. Gosh, it seemed like longer than that. Well, what today, looking back on the last 2.5 years, what initiatives, what accomplishments that give you the most pride?
Well, clearly the entrepreneurship thing. I mean, that is a huge transformation for the business school as well as the university. So that's a great area. We're doing things, we're expanding our student services. We've added a career counselor to our career services offices for the undergraduate. We've done some things at the graduate level and master's level by creating a person who helps with professional development activities and things like that. So I think we're doing a nice job with student support systems, trying to have people and tools to help students in those areas if they need them. So I'm pleased with that. Other kinds of things we're proud of, just generally the fundraising, the whole initiative this past year for chairs and professorships. The college did very well on that, even without the entrepreneurship gift.
In that little about 5-month window.
Yeah.
Gosh, how many $1 million you guys raised?
Well, if you include the Mitchell gift, it's probably pushing around $30 million.
That's
So,
impressive.
no, it's over $30 million. So
Very impressive.
yes, it is. Yeah, and so that's exciting. I'm pleased. We added a number of conferences and programs with the Center for Executive and Professional Development, for instance. We've been at a very successful energy conference that we've offered, and that's been well received. And I guess now we'll be looking at our third conference, hopefully this spring. We're trying to get the details worked out on it. But we offered that the spring of the first year I got here, it's like any other new thing. We weren't sure what kind of response and those sorts of things we get, but the industry has been very supportive. The attendance has been great. We brought in some speakers that are very appealing to a lot of folks. We had the CEO Shell Law for the first one, and Boone Pickens spoke at the second one, so a lot of good things.
Well, speaking of Boone and fundraising, I know Boone's gift certainly helped attract a lot of attention to the matching gifts for chairs.
Right.
But I want to go back to as we're talking about fundraising, about your sort of dreams and aspirations for a new facility. What are some of the things you're looking for? What kind of facility are you thinking about?
Well, right now, we're on the master plan for a new facility. In fact, my understanding has been something that's been talked about in the business school for 10 years or more. And it's the plan is, the thought right now is Hanner Hall, which is, an older building that's not in very good shape. That we would build a standalone building where Hanner Hall is, and put into that area a lot of the things that we would like as part of our facility. We'd keep our current facility, and perhaps in phase 2 we would do some things to upgrade it as well. What we see going into that new facility is, first of all, a large auditorium. We bring in a number of speakers, and it would be great to have an auditorium where they could speak, and students could come directly from their existing classes, and we can use it for a lot of other kinds of things. We see an open area when you come in, sort of an atrium area where students could sit and visit and talk to faculty between classes. We see, as I mentioned earlier, the team rooms, some study areas, quiet study areas, and then clearly we would like a very large, what we call a student success center. It would be the place where students who are looking for any kind of assistance would go. If they need help picking out a major and the courses they need to take for a given semester, that's where they go for that kind of advisement. If they're coming in and they're saying, I'm not sure what I want to major in, I'm thinking about marketing, what kind of job opportunities, the career services people are right there. I'd like to get more involved, what kind of student organizations, there would be all of that sort of thing. It would be one place for students, students having trouble in a course, looking for how they get tutors and things like that. Anything that would support students in being successful in their academic programs and enriching their academic programs would be available in that one place. We would want it to be a friendly place where you walk in, there's plenty of seats, there's some computers where you can check your email while you wait, those kinds of things. So that it's a friendly, comfortable place to walk in. Students feel comfortable wandering in and saying, I'm thinking about taking X course at a community college while I'm home for the summer. Will that count to my degree program? So that they get answers early on and they're comfortable and confident that what they're doing is going to work. So that's front and center. I envision, we don't have real drawings yet, but you walk into this atrium area, and then one side of this atrium area is this Student Success Center. We also want the Riata Center to be close by. We want students to feel comfortable wandering into that area and talking with the director of the center, executives and residents and others about their ideas for new companies or new products, and just having a place to bounce their thoughts off and get some feedback and reaction. So those are critical. What are the kinds of things? We certainly want state-of-the-art classrooms and a mix of classroom sizes. The campus seems to have a lot of smaller classrooms. We'd also like some larger classrooms. There's discussion about creating an area for the graduate students that's somewhat separate and has some of the same kinds of functions for graduate students that you see in the Student Success Center for undergraduates.
Have they put any dollar figures as net? I know it's kind of blue sky in it, but
yeah, probably around $60 million for this. In fact,
seems like I'd seen in one version of the 25-year plan at one time, and I was still in there about maybe a wing on the east side, kind of balancing off the Hanner Hall. Also, another almost standalone building. Yeah. Was that part of the plan now?
It is sort of in this
next stage,
next phase 2, phase 3 kind of thing. So I think phase 1 is that where Hannah is. Phase 2 is doing something to upgrade the current building, and that might be a phase 3.
What I'm kind of asking, sort of move the discussion just a little bit. I want to talk about Dean Sara Freedman. Is that okay?
Sure.
Just want to ask a little bit, if we to get to know you better. Do you have any hobbies or special interests?
Ooh, well, I think all of us enjoy reading, and kind of that's the non-academic kind of reading, whether it's fiction or some of the books that.
Do you have a particular genre you like better than others?
Well, I must admit I like an occasional mystery or something like that, and then of course there's so many popular press books out. We bring in Thomas Friedman. You want to go make sure you've read his books and things like that. So there's a lot of that. That's probably what I spend most amount of time trying outside of the work and family kinds of issues. And I may have mentioned I have 2 grown sons, and they are very important, and I try to spend time with them as much as I can.
Grandkids yet?
No grandkids yet. My oldest son just got married this past summer. That was a big deal.
That sure was.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, any strong likes, dislikes? I mean, any turnoffs for you? I mean.
Oh, gee, I hadn't thought about that. No, most things I'm pretty comfortable with.
Like if someone would say, whatever you do, don't.
I guess one of the things that concerns me, and I haven't seen as much of it here as you get the sense that is elsewhere, are students, or anyone for that matter, who has a sense of entitlement. I think those of us who talk, other business deans at conferences and things like that, talk a lot about, students who somehow or another come into their academic setting and then into the workforce with an attitude of, I'm here, what can you do for me? As opposed to, I'm here, I want to work, I want to be successful, I want to learn. And there's a general sense that in some places that's definitely increasing, and I think all of us are concerned. I do spend a lot of time with our accrediting body, AACSB. I'm on their board, and I've served on a number of accrediting teams over the years. And so you interact with other deans and you look at their student bodies and the kinds of issues that are going on. And I do think that's a bit of a concern.
You probably can't help but kind of make some comparisons, OSU and other schools. How do we come out in those comparisons?
I think we do very well. Our kids tend to come from smaller towns, more rural backgrounds. They're used to the idea of hard work, and it's they play hard and they work hard, and they don't expect things to be handed to them on a silver platter. We come out very well. I think that's a characteristic of land grants, just generally. And that is something that I'm proud of. It's fun to work with our students. You don't get a lot of whiners and, how could you do that? I mean, you have some of that everywhere, but it's certainly not as great here as it might be in some other places.
Well, of course, you're a very public person, and as you indicated, but again, kind of pursuing some of our conversation, what would we want to know? What would surprise us to know about Dean Sara Freedman that we don't know from your public persona?
Gee, I think I'm pretty much an open book. I don't know that I have this secret life that anybody would be interested in. I think I'm probably more family oriented than some people might suspect. I mean, my kids can get me way up or way down or crying or whatever in just a minute or two. It's been great watching them grow up, and pleased to say that at least currently there are very few of the crying things.
Were you a soccer mom?
I was a soccer mom, although I must tell you, my oldest son, when we signed him up for soccer, he was, 5 or something like that, and all his little friends were signing up for soccer, so we signed him up for soccer. And the first few Saturdays we were out there. He was fine. They were teaching him how to kick and, the different plays and everything. So finally they were going to have this practice game, one group against another. And Matthew was out on the field and, they're kicking the ball around, and suddenly somebody kicks the ball toward him, and all these other little boys are running at him, and he decided he didn't like soccer. He never had any interest in football. He was a track and tennis, but none of these sports where you can really get hurt.
That's good. Those are career kinds of sports.
Yeah. So soccer mom translated into tennis and track and things like that.
You were talking just a few minutes ago about Land Grant University extension and outreach. What are some of the things that as you indicated earlier, that was one of the strengths you felt like Oklahoma State University? What are some initiatives you're pursuing to continue that strength and expand on it?
All right. Well, I mentioned we're doing more conferences. In fact, we're going to have a marketing and branding conference this year for the first time. When we started the energy conference, we've started the Governor's Partnership Program. It's a week-long executive program. We've been offering a week-long executive development program for the business community for several years, and we were approached, and there's some conversation that was begun about offering that for government employees as well, government managers, and so we started that, and that's been going very well. We do that in the summer. We've developed, and we always are developing new programs offered by our faculty. When there's some new business concepts or ideas that we think the business community could benefit from. So it may be something like this branding thing. It may be taking a book, Good to Great, and having some programs about how you would actually do that in a company and what kinds of things you can learn, and how you might change your practices as a result of that. So we see it, again, as a land grant, extension-oriented, trying to connect with the business community and to assist. I'm always saying that we want to be seen as a resource for the business community, a resource for students to hire, both for interns and full-time jobs, a resource for the latest in business education, a resource for connecting with other business people, meetings of our associates, or opportunities to network with the business community. So we want them to think of us when something comes up. Oh, gee, we need to upgrade this. We need some help. Well, maybe we can get some of the faculty from OSU to help us with that, either in a consulting role or a training program or whatever.
There's some corporate relationships you want to speak to that you've developed closely over the years and here more recently? Yeah,
the OSU has been strong in building relationships with companies. The accounting program has been particularly effective in working with accounting firms, and it's a two-way street. The accounting firms help the accounting school in terms of scholarships, in terms of coming back and speaking to students and interacting with students, and the business school, the accounting department, provides qualified students to work in their companies. So it's a marvelous relationship in every sense of the word, and it's one that they've maintained and developed and expanded. At one time it was primarily just with big accounting firms, and now we do a much better job of working with regional accounting firms and with companies who hire accountants directly into them. So it's a good example of that kind of relationship in which everybody benefits. We certainly have great relationships with a lot of the energy companies. They help us in a variety of different ways with students, much as the accounting firms have had help to the School of Accounting. We have scholarship programs. Their folks stay involved with the students and with the faculty that are active in the programs. It's been a real good relationship.
Conoco Phillips Spirit Scholars program would be an example of that.
ConocoPhillips Spirit Scholar is probably our best example of that, because they not only provide scholarships, but they're active with the students, they're involved, they come on campus, they're there if we need assistance. For instance, in management information systems, we need more students, and ConocoPhillips has been willing to send mostly our graduates who graduated in the last few years to go with our faculty and our students to talk to high schools. Okay, so you can talk to high school students about the opportunities, and then you have somebody from ConocoPhillips who graduated, who's young, and talking about what they're doing and how excited they are to be there, and the
a strong internship program, I think, too.
Very strong internship. Most of the students with the Spirit Scholars Program get internships in ConocoPhillips, and that's a great experience. If I could wave a wand in the business school and have every student do an internship, I would. Students get exposed to what they're going to be doing, so when they come back to school, they understand how what they're studying fits with what they're going to be doing. Occasionally, you get a student who comes back and says, I don't really want to do it. And one thing to read it, it's another thing to have to work that way. So that's good. You want to define that before you graduate. And then the companies get an opportunity to take a look at the student. A lot of times these students get job offers, practically before they finish the internship or right after they finish the internship. So the company gets a chance to look at the student. Company gets a chance to shape the student a little bit in terms of expectations for what they're going to be doing when they graduate, understanding how to work in a professional environment. All of those kinds of things are great for both parties. So internships are something we're encouraging more of, as are we encouraging more international activities.
I'm just going to ask you, as we move more to a global society and certainly business system, how important are international internships and opportunities to our students?
Right, they are very important. We are subsidizing more study abroad opportunities for students and offering more scholarships. The university is very committed to that. President Straith has done a great job of encouraging us to move in that direction. I think we all recognize that students need to get exposed to those kinds of things, and certainly in business, it's an international marketplace. It is not a local one. And so we are doing more in terms of more study abroad, trying to expand the number and the types of programs we offer, and also trying to make it more financially possible for students to participate in those.
You alluded to alumni and your involvement earlier. I'd like to pick up on that maybe one more time. From your perspective, what is the role of alumni in advancing the school?
There are several different things that alumni can do. I mean, first of all, just being involved and active. We have a very strong associates program where our alumni support activities, give us advice and guidance. Again, with business, there's a community out there that's doing what we're trying to teach our students. So we need to know what issues and concerns they're dealing with or that they anticipate dealing with. So we can adjust our curriculum and make sure that we're covering the issues that need to be covered. So that kind of feedback, okay. Students who graduate, been out there 2 years, to come back and say, we need more of this, or those kinds of feedback loops are very...
This would help me in my coursework and preparation.
Right, and these things work well, these things we need to work on. So that constant feedback, involvement, helping us recruit. Yeah, I know one of my coworkers' kids thinking about where to go to college and asked me about OSU. Can you make sure some materials get sent? They're possibly interested in the business school. Can you help us try to recruit this student? And we love that sort of thing because those are great students usually, and working with them is what we want to do to recruit good students to the Spear School. Obviously we appreciate financial support. A lot of our students get scholarships, and we try to tell them, when you get out there, you need to remember that somebody helped you. And so now if you've got the wherewithal and the interest, we'd hope you'd consider supporting other students. So scholarships are an important way of doing that. There's a whole variety of different things. And coming back for homecoming and being a part of what's going on, those are all important things that alumni can do to stay involved with the university and with the Spear School.
Just to be ambassadors and advocates for the school.
Yeah, wear your orange with pride.
There you go. Absolutely. That.
Yeah.
What excites you about the future of the Spear School of Business?
And I hate to harp on the entrepreneurship, but we're really excited about that. I think just generally trying to, the sense of movement, that we are moving forward, that if you look at the trajectory, things are getting better, and that we've got the right people, the right programs in place to continue that trajectory. The good things going on, and people that are concerned about doing the right thing and helping young people get off to a great start.
Great. Are there continuing challenges that you see ahead for the school?
I don't think there's any business school in the country that's not always going to be worried about budgets and stuff like that. There's certainly always things that come up that you're going to be working to improve. But that's, I always say that if it wasn't for that, I'd be out of a job. So I better be excited about those challenges.
Well said. How do you feel? You talk about sort of the momentum, sense it for the school, business, but also for the university, and what your thoughts on the leadership, the administrative leadership at OSU at this time?
Well, my President Hargis is an accounting graduate of the Spear School of Business, so we take great pride in that, and we're excited about having him on campus. We feel like that he's going to help raise the visibility. He's going to help, as we start a capital campaign. His role will be critical to getting people involved and excited about what's going on at OSU. Provost Straith, Marlene Straith, she's been here for a number of years, and I have been very impressed with her commitment to the academic programs and her support for accomplishing what needs to be done on the academic side. And then, of course, we're going to a bowl game, so we're excited about that.
I think you probably answered the next question I was thinking about, but I'm going to ask you anyway to get a sense of it. Are you still as excited about being an OSU Cowboy as you were 2.5 years ago when you came on board?
Yes. In fact, if anything more, it's been one of those things as I've learned more about the school and where we're headed and what the university's doing. It's a great place to be. It's a fun place to be. I look forward to getting up in the morning and coming to work. And that I used to tell students, no job is perfect, and no job are you going to love everything that you do. But if most mornings, when you get up in the morning, you're excited about going to work, it's good.
Speaking of that, how has your expectations changed, or have they changed since you started at Oklahoma State?
I don't know that they've changed a lot. I think that it has been busier just in general in terms of the total number of activities and different things going on. But that's a positive change. You certainly appreciate the opportunity to get to do a lot of different things in the course of the year. So
that's great. Well, David, what else would you want to share with us about the college that we haven't talked about that you want to share with people that might look at this interview?
I think we've talked about most things. The school is up and coming. I mean, it's not to say that it wasn't strong in the past, but it's just getting better. And as time passes, I'm convinced that we're going to continue to improve upon the already solid foundation that we have. It's a good place to be.
Final question. Fast forward, 5 years, but let's say more like 10 years, whatever you think your tenure would be, Dee. But how would you want to feel, and what would you want for people to remember you most about the college?
Oh, that's a good question. I would hope that people, say I'm gone 2 years. I've been retired, and I came back and I was talking to people and so forth. What would I want them to be saying to me about? I would want them to be saying we were involved in moving forward together, whether it's student leadership, faculty, staff at the college, that they were involved and committed to helping move us forward, and that under my deanship that happened, and that these were some of the things that we accomplished. But I think probably more than the specific accomplishments was this sense of getting everybody moving together, focused on trying to do the very best we can for our students, for the business community, for the university.
Yeah, that'd be a great legacy to leave.
I think that would be good. Maybe I better quit now. Quit talking.
Okay.